Many thanks for choosing us. Auditors across the country have been directed to report public officers who have failed to declare their assets to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice. They are not to inform the institution the person works in once they detect the failure to declare. The directive is contained in a circular issued by the Auditor General, Daniel Domelevo, to audit staff and firms ahead of commencement of auditing of the 2019 financial year. The circular reads, all staff of the Ghana Audit Services and firms auditing on behalf of the Auditor General are to take note that as part of the audit of the 2019 financial year, you must ensure compliance with the provisions of Article 286 of the Consultation and Public Office Holders Declaration of Assets and Disqualification Act 1998, Act 550. These legislations provide that a person who holds a public office as listed below shall submit to the Auditor General a written declaration of all properties or assets owned by or liabilities owed by him, whether directly or indirectly, A, before taking office, B, at the end of every 4 years, and at the end of his term of office. Note that anyone who declared has a receipt issued to him or her when the declaration was made. If it comes to your notice that one has not complied with the laws, issue an audit observation in accordance with Regulation 34 of the Audit Service Regulation 2011 C-170 and submit a copy of the observation together with the response from the audited organization and report through the Auditor General to the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice. And it states, please don't make any audit recommendations to the audited institution. And it is signed by Daniel Domelevo, who is Auditor General. In the northern region, 5 houses and a shop in Tolong have been burned after fire gutted about 100 barrels of fuel. An eyewitness, Suleimana Zakaria, told Joy News the fire that started at about 3 o'clock this afternoon was intense and got people running for their lives. Northern Regional Correspondent Martina Bugri is on that beat and joins me on the phone. Good evening to you, Martina. What more can you report?
What I can report now is that the fire has been brought under control. But it left its wake 5 houses destroyed and 3 shops. I spoke to the owner of the shop, Alhassan Dawinia. He says that 63 barrels of petrol and 3 barrels of diesel. And he says that he has no permit and neither has he insured the facility he was using. And so those who are affected are all at loss as we speak now.
How are residents taking the news on a new year?
There was total chaos and panic when it started, and so people had to run everywhere to save their lives. As we speak, the boy who was dispensing the fuel currently has been referred to the Tamale Teaching Hospital after they sent him to the Tolong Clinic for treatment, and he was referred. And the people said it is not safe, and everybody was scared because the thing kept on raging. And it took the fire service a while to be in Tolong. There's no fire station in Tolong, and so they had to be called from Tamale to come to Tolong and then get the fire off, and that took a lot of time. And so the fire was able to spread, coupled with the Harmattan wind, it spread so fast and then caused that havoc.
Grateful for your time. Martina Bugri is our Northern Region correspondent. We'll still follow that story and bring you more in our subsequent bulletin. But with over 10 labor unions embarking on strike in the course of the year 2019, easily passes as one of the most scared years in the history of labor relations in Ghana. From salary arrears to poor working conditions, the many employee grievances forced workers to embark on various industrial actions to press home their demands. Over the past 12 months, workers in the educational sector alone have staged about 5 protests. But with the coming of 2020 industrial year, stakeholders say government must collaborate with organized labor to minimize the incidence of strike actions. There's more in the following report.
In light of this development, ladies and gentlemen of the media, we, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, National Association of Graduate Teachers, Coalition of Concerned Teachers Ghana, do hereby declare today a strike action.
And this has been the refrain of over 10 labor unions as they declare their strike one after the other in the course of 2019. From health to civil service, the chain of strikes started with the mortuary workers union in the first quarter.
The work that mortuary attendant does, for me, I see 1, 2, 3 professions put together to make him a whole one. So his work, if it is really quantified like the way people who are advanced, who are thinking, about developing this country, then his salary or his remuneration should not be compared to any other person who is working with life. It's a different environment. I told you the people are dead already. The signal those who are charged with governance is sending to all Ghanaians, and for that matter, those who die during that period, is that they should learn to bury anybody who dies within a day, or those who intend to die during that period should wait. When mortuary workers are back to work, they die. Simple. It's not me. It is those that we have put there and we are paid there with our taxpayers' money, who are supposed to take decisions in the interest of this country, who have stampeded on the right of ordinary Ghanaian workers because they don't have a mouth. They should be held responsible.
The highlight of the industrial year sits with teachers and other workers in the educational sector who for more than once boycotted the classroom. The latest strike over delayed payment of salary arrears was reluctantly called off after the Labour Commission secured a court order to muscle the teachers back into the classroom.
On Friday, 28 November 2019, we were invited to a meeting by the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations. Present were the Ghana Education Service, the Control and Accountant General's Department, and the Ghana Audit Service. The subject for discussion was the legacy arrears, which spanned the period 2012 to 2016. Primarily, we, the unions, were concerned with the payment of the said arrears because our checks had revealed that the arrears had been verified and approved for payment by the Control and Accountant General's Department Audit Unit about 3 weeks earlier. However, we were informed that when the verified data was handed over to the GES for review and action.
For the teachers, the NLC has lost its legitimacy to lead negotiations between organized labor and government. With the affected workforce cutting through health practitioners, civil servants, lecturers, bus drivers and morticians, analysts say government must be keen on resolving worker grievances to decrease the incidence of industrial actions in 2020. Labour analyst Austin Gami maintains that the cost of these strike actions to the Ghanaian must be prevented.
We have to double up and change the pattern of how we train and educate people at the universities, our lecturers themselves. They, the custodians of this knowledge, are the first sometimes to go on strike. And therefore, what about the rest of the people? Labor management cooperation must be at the height. If labor management cooperation is not brought on, it will be a very, very disastrous moment for us in 2020.
Broken, bent or corroded steel crash barriers. This is what you find on the Jawolo N1 highway in Accra. The current situation requires immediate solution to avert vehicle collisions. A metal mesh which divides 2 lanes on the road has also carved out of its position, protruding into the road, posing severe risk to drivers who may not see it. Joining us is Spacey Nanaya Osafo has been there, and here's his report read to you.
The city is just recovering from days of traffic congestion, and as the numbers reduce, cracks from poor maintenance on Accra's road are also exposed. A quick drive on the Jawolo N1 highway here in Accra shows It is one of the sports requiring attention. To begin with, parts of the wire mesh meant to avoid indiscriminate pedestrian crossing are falling off.
The metal mesh has fallen from its original position, stretching way beyond the boundary for it to be. In fact, this is where the crash barrier ends, but this has extended beyond even the limit for the drivers on the roads. That's leading them to a very huge risk, particularly for drivers who drive here at night. You can see its huge metal edges veering onto the road as speeding cars speed past it.
Although many vehicles steered clear of it in the daytime, it is unguaranteed how night commuters are protected from the hazard in question. Beyond the danger posed by the broken wire mesh competing with vehicles for space on the street, many of the guardrails, also called crash barriers, which divide lanes of road users from La Paz to Tema and Tema to the Achimota overhead, have had a fair share of crashes, looking broken, utterly destroyed and left unattended to. A long section of the barrier seen choked with overgrown weed, inwardly bent and obviously no longer fit for purpose. Joy News cannot confirm for how long the problems here have been, but quick observations tell maintenance issues have persisted on the N1 highway for at least a year. PSC Nanai Osafos report for Joy News.
Government says it is rolling out several interventions to ensure parity in development, adding no one will be left behind in the developmental drive. The intervention, according to Vice President Dr. Baumia, includes the plan to construct a house complex for hawkers and street children in the Central Business District of Accra, a project expected to start this year. The Vice President was addressing dozens of cured lepers, rough sleepers and street children at his cantonment residence after treating them to some good food. My colleague Latif Idris was at the event and now reports.
The day started with a welcome address by wife of Vice President Hajia Samira Baumia, who acknowledged efforts by Father Campbell to alleviate the plight of lepers in Ghana.
Today is the new year, the first of 2020, and we give you salam alaikum to our home. Father Campbell, we greet you and welcome back to our home. You're no stranger to this house, and it's particularly because of the good work you do and how it touches our hearts and aligns with what we also are passionate about.
Dozens of cured lepers, rough sleepers and street children treated to good food and music here at the cantonment residence of the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. This has become an annual event marked by the Vice Presidents to bring together these cured lepers and underprivileged in society to celebrate, wine and dine with him. Now, addressing the gathering here, the Vice President said this is his own way of giving back to society and has assured to do more to cater for the needs and wants of the underprivileged in society.
Ever since I became a patron for the lepers, I've been very aware of these challenges that they face, and we have been talking very much and trying to resolve some of these challenges. I believe that when you are in public service, and the role of government generally is to try to protect the poor and the vulnerable in society. That is really fundamentally what we are trying to do. As for the rich, they can always take care of themselves. But the vulnerable and the poor, I think this is where the role of government can also help.
Father Campbell, who expressed appreciation to the Vice President for the gesture, also appealed to duty bearers to do more to clear the street of children who continue to wander about.
We have to do more, and that's where I'm very grateful to the Mayor of Accra and to His Excellency that we have plans in mind for something beyond just a daily community drop-in place just for food. We have to go beyond that and see where can we give them some place where they can stay, go to school and have a shelter for them. We have to go as far as that so that we'll be able to take these children off the streets.
Mayor of Accra, Mohammed Ajay-Sowa, also put smiles on the faces of the cured lepers and street children here when he announced that he is donating his January salary to the Lepers Aid and Father Campbell's Soup Kitchen.
Now I've decided to contribute my first month of the year salary.
You're going broke the whole of January then?
Well, it's part of humanity. I mean, I'm not sure I'm going broke. I am always fulfilled and thrilled by working with poor people. And that has been my nature for the past 26 years.
The party, according to the Vice President, will be held at the start of every year. He says no one will be left behind in the country's development agenda.
To find Christians across the country throng the churches and clubs to mark the crossover into the year. For some, it is an opportunity to reinvent themselves and aspire for better things in the coming year. For others, it is just another day out of a possible 365. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba brings us a wrap of his visit to some churches here in Accra as they crossed over into 2020.
Like many other churches, members of the East Legon-based Agape House New Testament Church, led by their senior pastor, did a countdown to 2020. Professor Ebo Henson of the University of Ghana Business School and a member of the church is one of the people excited about the prospects of 2020 as he waved a white handkerchief and sang to the songs from the choir.
2019 was full of ups and downs, but all said we had a good year of return, didn't we? So 2020 is going to take off in a grand style. It can only get better, sir. It can only get better. Yes.
Well, personally, what will be your wish for 2020?
That we'll have very peaceful elections, and that the business climate will get better. I pray that on the university scene, since I'm a professor, there will be a lot of progress, there will be calm, and I also think that our position in the West African sub-region should become more dominant and dominant and dominant, because the year of return gives us excellent potential to escalate this nation brand to the highest level it has ever been in 2020.
Well, one thing that we've realized coming here to the Action Chapel International is the number of police officers deployed to various churches, making sure that there is enough security. We've seen a lot of police officers here. And guess who we just bumped into? The Inspector General of Police.
Normally, on occasions where you have a large number of people gathering, particularly in respect of church services, and festive occasions like this, you have criminals coming to play, criminals joining them and trying to do their tricks. So it is necessary that we also deploy a number of personnel. So as we speak now, within all the congregations, we have deployed some detectives, some intelligence officers.
2019, what would you describe it? What would be your description of 2019? What year was it for the Ghana Police Service?
Well, for the Ghana Police Service, I would say that it was quite bumpy for us. Bumpy in the sense that we had a lot of officers shot while on duty. But the good thing is that all these officers who were shot, we made breakthroughs, we were able to arrest the perpetrators.
What should we expect in 2020 in terms of security? And we know 2020 is an election year, so maybe you want to share with us what we should expect.
Well, let me first say that we would depend on each and every one of us living in Ghana to be able to secure Ghana during the year 2020. We expect everybody to play his part and to ensure that we deliver the security that the country needs.
So the Ashanti regional capital now, where messages on elections dominated the sermons preached in most of the churches. In the Kumasi metropolis, the sermons covered tolerance, guarding against foul language, and advice to pastors warning against declaring their support for political parties. Prince Appiah monitored the churches in the region and has filed this report.
The watch night church services were characterized by prayers, accompanied with worship songs and praises before the sermon began. Here is head pastor of Miracle Manor Church, Pastor Obed Joy Obeng.
In the year 2020, that by the grace of God, we have arrived.
Aside the message of glad tidings in the new year, some attention was paid to the upcoming elections. Our next visit was the Calvary Charismatic Center, where Pastor Ransford Obeng is the head pastor. For him, it is unwise for church leaders to declare support for any political party, lest it divides the people.
In a church, we have different group of people that come to church. There is no church that has one party in it. There are different people. And churches are supposed to bring people of different background, different views together under the Lord Jesus Christ. So it is not a wise decision for any church leader to declare publicly his support for any political party. Your duty is to pray for them. When you go to the ballot box, that is between you and your God.
Others advise that the upcoming election campaign should be made up of issues that will address the needs of the people and not insults.
The peace of Ghana, everybody is responsible. Everybody needs to play his part. As churches, we need to pray and encourage our people and ask our people to be tolerant. Advice to all the various parties is that as they go about their campaign, they should talk about issues. They should stop insulting one another. That is not the culture of Ghanaians.
The words that we will be using against our fellow opponents, we should be very mindful so that we wouldn't cause any mayhem in the process of the elections. At the end of the day, we are Ghanaians. We have only one country and nowhere to go. So we must exercise a lot of restraint.
Meanwhile, Superintendent Minister for Mount Zion Methodist Church Society, Reverend Frank Abrifa, was particular about the unguarded language of politicians.
Jesus is a peaceful being, so our speech should be guarded as we tolerate each other during the election year.
As usual, it ended with heated praises to usher in the year 2020. Prince Appiah reporting.
And as the NDC commemorated its first December revolution, there were aspects of the event that got people laughing and surprised. Watch this.
It was not all about the punchlines that took on various individuals. There were moments of laughter and excitement. First, the interesting Mahama and JJ introductions. MC Elvis Free Yankra on the mic.
Africa says, "See, capitalism. Shwanuye,
How about asking the crowd whether he should continue?
Aha. Yes. You, next time, why?
He did continue and talked about religion.
Socialism to Christians, capitalists, are here, Jesus Christ, who was a die-hard socialist. They made him their icon, Son of God. And under that name, Juma Bonnie.
And there were moments Mr. Rawlings asked for help to identify someone.
Oh, that one in Tama. What's that one in Tama who he punches women's stomach? Obini. Somebody, that is just somebody. Money back the room. Obini. If Obini
continued the story.
Had arrived, they invited some young, handsome-looking preacher man in his black to come and preach the sermon.